Hey guys, it's Danny. Welcome to another episode from our Orchid Care for Beginners series. Today we are talking all about orchid roots. We're gonna get to know them a little bit better, find out their quirks, and by doing so, learning how to maintain them happy and healthy so that our orchid will thrive for many years. Today's video, together with our entire Orchid Care for Beginners series, is of course sponsored by repotme.com, who offers you everything you could possibly need to properly take care of your orchid. From potting mixes to pots, fertilizers, accessories, they have them all. So I will link you in the description to their website. Feel free to check it out at any time, and I'll also tell you what my absolute favorite products are, which some I have been using before my long-term collaboration with them started. So you're gonna have all that in the description. And with that said, before we dive into the subject, let me just mention that we will refer specifically to epiphytic orchid roots, since most of the orchids we grow, including the very famous Phalaenopsis orchid, are epiphytes. Not everything I'm gonna tell you today will apply to terrestrial orchids such as jewel orchids, for example, but definitely they will apply to Phalaenopsis orchids, Cattleyas, Oncidiums, Dendrobiums, Vanda orchids, pretty much all of these very popular orchids that you generally find in flower shops. Let's start with root morphology. As some of you know, generally speaking, orchid roots are pretty thick and consistent. And well, this is because most of them do have an outer layer we call a velamen. Now, this layer is like a sponge, and it acts like it as well. Its role is to protect the inner part of the root and also to absorb and store for an amount of time water. And if you have a Phalaenopsis already, you might know that when roots are dry, they tend to be silvery gray, and they do actually look a little dry. But when you water them, they not only change their color from silvery to green, but they also expand a little bit, they swell, and they don't look as wrinkly. They are actually retaining water. Now, the middle part of a root is a thin, stringy, and pretty tough formation. That is where the sap flows. In the past, we used to say that that's the actual root of the plant, but in reality, all of these components form the root. As they grow, roots will always have a glossier tip. It can be red or reddish or brown depending on the variety, but this tip is the most sensitive part of the root. It's not fully formed just yet and is not as protected as the rest of the velamen. However, green tips, as we call them, are a sign of healthy or recovering roots because they are growing. The longer the tip is, the faster and more vigorous the root is growing. When a root of an orchid is not alive anymore, it typically becomes mushy. Now, if you take a healthy root and try to squeeze it gently in between your fingers, you will notice that it is pretty tough. When the root is not alive anymore, typically this velamen becomes very mushy or papery. When it's wet, it's usually mushy, and when it's dry, it's rather papery. And the string inside will still look okay. It will not deteriorate like that, but without the outer velamen, the inner part will not live that long, if at all. As you've seen in my other repottings, if we pull on the root and the whole velamen comes apart, leaving that stringy bit behind, that is a sign of a dead root. Dead roots are of no use to orchids anymore, and the best thing to do is to cut them, because if we leave them in the pot in cultivation, they're just going to break down in the pot and lead to a faster degradation of the potting mix. That's why whenever we repot orchids, it is very important to remove all of the dead roots and not leave them in the pot. Now, the roots of orchids are very adaptive, and here is why in cultivation we make the distinction between aerial roots, or the roots that grow in the air, and the potted roots. Even though they are the same and they start out the same, they tend to adapt to the moisture levels around them. So, aerial roots, as the name suggests, grow in the air in very low moisture conditions, while the potted roots grow in higher moisture conditions. This determines a very slight difference between these two roots, which cannot really be observed with the naked eye. But in practice, what this means is that potted roots, generally speaking, do not adapt to life in the air. They will dry and they will suffer much more in the air if we expose them and leave them in the air suddenly than the aerial roots. And vice versa, if we try to pot the aerial roots and expose them to high amounts of moisture for long periods, they are very prone to just die off, suffocate, and rot. Hence why, when we pot orchids, or rather repot, it's a good idea to leave out the so-called aerial roots and to pot back into medium the roots which already grew in the pot. And in this way, we can avoid the death of some of these roots due to the fact that they're simply not adapted to those levels of moisture. And one more thing I would like to mention before we go into the actual roles of the roots. Yes, they are capable of photosynthesis. Do you see that they're green or that they green up when you water them? That means they contain chlorophyll, so they are capable of photosynthesis. However, it is definitely not one of their major roles. It is a very secondary role, which in my experience doesn't account for the photosynthesis produced by the leaves. Not even 5%, to be fully honest. So if you lose leaves on your orchid, trust me, the orchid will be severely set back no matter how much these roots photosynthesize. Also, it is absolutely fine to pot orchids in opaque clay pots or have them in decorative containers, shading the roots. You will not have any effects on the growth. Even if the roots are not capable of photosynthesis, you will not see any difference in your orchid. Root photosynthesis is a backup plan which is more important in a natural setting, which is a lot harsher than the life we try to offer to our orchids. We kind of spoil them. In cultivation, they really don't account for much actual food production for the orchid. So bottom line, you do not need to offer light to these roots. You do not need to stress about it. You will not notice any meaningful difference between orchids that grow in opaque pots and orchids that grow in transparent pots. We use transparent pots, especially at the beginning, to better judge when we need to water our orchid, which is much more important for the well-being of our orchid than letting light shine through the pot. Right, so now let's talk about the true and most important and meaningful roles of roots. First of all, absorption of water. Yes, orchids without roots, it's not pretty. And if you ever had a rootless orchid, you know how bad it can look. The leaves become limp and leathery, the orchid stops growing fast, it will be set back, which means it will start to grow tiny leaves. It will not bloom, it will visually look very stressed. And trust me, it is one of the greatest stresses an orchid can go through, loss of roots. P.S. I have a video on how to recover rootless orchids, so I'll link you to it down below. Because guess what? It's not the end of the orchid. Orchids can actually bounce back from that in time. Naturally, they can absorb a minimum quantity of water through the leaves as well, but it is a much more complicated process than you can imagine. No matter what you hear on the internet, do not try to make your orchid drink water through the leaves. It's not okay. It's not gonna happen. Furthermore, you can risk rotting the crowns or the stem of your orchid. Water absorption is one of the main roles of the roots. They are perfect for it. And they do such a good job that in cultivation you really do not need to worry quite at all about misting, foliar feeding, we'll get to that, or other things that might get water into the orchid through the leaves. There is absolutely no need. The roots do that. The second role of the roots is to absorb nutrients. And again, they are highly specialized in absorption of nutrients. Together with water, we offer nutrients as well through fertilizers. So exposing the roots to water and fertilizer makes sure that we get the necessary elements that the orchids need to properly develop their own food and function properly. Without nutrients, an orchid will slowly but very surely deplete itself, and at some point it will become very visible. Again, I'll make a little side note here. Foliar feeding is really not needed in cultivation, in my opinion. You will not notice any type of benefit because it's a longer discussion that has to do with the way they photosynthesize, but not only, with our limitations and with the risks involved in cultivation. All you need to know as a beginner, if you have a phalaenopsis, do not even worry about spraying or misting the leaves of an orchid with fertilizer or things of the sorts. No, it's gonna do more harm than good, probably in a living room, rather than offering fertilizer with the water you use to water the roots. There is no other structure better adapted on your orchid than the roots to absorb nutrients. And the third major role of the roots is to anchor orchids, which in cultivation may be not as important depending how you grow your orchid, but naturally roots are anchoring devices for orchids. Imagine these orchids growing up in the tree. They need to make sure that they are very, very well established there. Hence why the roots tend to grow in all sorts of directions. To our eyes at least, they can grow in the pot, on the side, horizontally, vertically, straight up. They can attach to the walls, to the other pots around them. That is within their nature to anchor orchids. Roots can stick to surfaces, especially if they're not glossy. They can stick so well, you would have to damage the root to remove it. And one of the things my Phalaenopsis do a lot is anchor themselves to the wall. It is absolutely normal, just as it's very normal to have roots coming out of the drainage hole or the ventilation holes and so on and so forth. It is absolutely normal to have this wild appearance to your orchid. It is what orchids are programmed genetically to do, spread their roots everywhere to better hold on to that tree that they think they're growing on. Hence why it is very possible to keep your orchids mounted, and I do have a video for beginners on the subject, check it out. Mounting orchids is not for everybody because it does imply a lot of attention and care from you, but it's fun to try out. And if you ever had a mounted orchid, you know how well these roots can attach to that mount, to that tree, bark, or whatever you use for mounting. It is quite spectacular. So these were the three main functions of the roots. And now let's talk about their quirks, because yes, in practice you will notice some stuff in time about the roots of your orchid and you might tend to be worried. Here's what you need to know about the practical side of roots. Let me tell you a few things about how they grow. Typically, they tend to be formed by the newer sides of an orchid. It is more visible on sympodial orchids such as cattleyas and oncidiums. The new pseudobulbs create the most vigorous roots. But in the case of Phalaenopsis, you will notice that the most vigorous roots or most vigorous production happens further up on the stem than lower down. And this is because this is the newer part of the stem of a Phalaenopsis. Now, the lower parts or the older parts of your orchid can still produce roots, but generally it is not as vigorous as the newer structures. What older roots can do is branch out. Yes, from the velamen, another root tip can start to grow. They can also split at the tip, creating two roots. And generally, whenever you're gonna repot an orchid, you will see that the roots in the pot do tend to have quite a few several branches. The older the root, the more branches it typically has. Some orchids can grow their roots more abundantly according to season. So in the springtime, many cattleyas start to actively produce new growths, and with those new growths, roots. Phalaenopsis as well, typically in the late spring or early summer, when the flowers fall, they will start to produce more roots than throughout the season. Even though Phalaenopsis can grow roots pretty much at any point, you will notice a bigger flush of roots when the flowers are done in the warm season. Sometimes they can pause growth. So at some point you will see that your roots will not have these green tips anymore. That is absolutely fine, does not mean the roots are dead or they're sick. It's just a little pause in the vegetative growth. Maybe the orchid is actually preparing to bloom, or maybe the season is not an appropriate one for vegetative growth. If it is a little too cool in that particular time of the year, they might focus on other things, or they might conserve energy, as it were. So roots don't grow continuously. Don't worry if at some point they just stop. They know what they're doing. As long as they're not mushy, they're okay. Also, roots do not grow towards moisture or, other things that sometimes you might find lingering on the internet. The only thing that I observed, not with all of my orchids, but with some, Vandas in particular, is that their roots tend to grow away from the light. And that makes sense because that's not where the tree is, towards the light, and the roots don't need the light. What they need is an anchoring surface, and not only that, a surface on which water flows. Flower spikes tend to grow towards the light because they need to be visible. They need pollinators to see them, but the roots do not need pollinators. They do not need to stick out. They don't need to dangle in the wind or get brushed against by animals and other things. No, they will grow away from the light because generally where the shade is where the tree is as well. This outer coating, the velamen, is very strong and can get damaged. It does not mean the root will die. So if we scratch a little bit the velamen, it will create a bit of a scar, but it will not pose any threat to the entirety of the root. Furthermore, in many cases, we can even snap the roots, which I'm not going to do, but especially with Phalaenopsis, the roots can get snapped and they will still be okay. I actually do have a natural snap here, which I'll give you a close-up of. You'll see the velamen will kind of dry in that area, it will callus over, and it will continue to protect the root will grow, everything is okay. So if you have some damages on your roots, do not worry. Unless the root is completely cut away, it can actually be very okay. Now, there are some orchids which have more sensitive roots, such as Cattleyas. In my experience, when we snap a Cattleya root, it's not good. But typically with Phalaenopsis, it is no problem if some of these roots just snap when you repot them. It happens, we all do it. Generally, when orchid roots are dry, they are very brittle and more prone to being snapped. But when they're wet and soaked in water, they become more flexible and easier to manage. So personally, me and I see other growers too, we like to soak the roots of an orchid just to protect them against snapping. I feel they're a little bit more flexible, and you can even do a repot without any snapped roots at all if they're very flexible. This is especially useful if you have an orchid which is attached very well to the pot. Unmounting an orchid generally requires soaking for you to be able to even remove it from that mount. If you try to remove it dry, it's not gonna end well. Orchid roots do not live forever. Yes, they can live very well and function for quite a number of years, but at some point they will naturally just wither off as they are replaced by newer roots. So that is absolutely fine if after a number of years you repot your orchid and you discover the oldest roots are not good anymore. That is absolutely fine, absolutely normal. As long as you have quite a decent amount of new roots, everything is okay. Roots that don't receive light, for example, the ones that are potted in opaque pots or the ones under a decorative pot, can actually become a little yellow or a little white. Don't worry, that is absolutely fine. It does not mean the root is dying or is sick. No, it simply does not have chlorophyll pigments. The orchid does not allocate the chlorophyll to the parts of the roots which are not exposed to light, because it's useless. They will not photosynthesize anything. So if inside your pot you discover some roots not being green or being a little yellow, that is fine. Do not cut them. If they're rigid and not mushy, they're absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. And lastly, aerial roots really don't need much care from you. I would not cut them because they are a backup plan. Maybe at some point your orchid loses all of its potted roots. Due to various reasons, you will rely on the aerial roots to hydrate your orchid. Remember, hydrating through leaves, not gonna happen, no matter how much you try. It will not create any meaningful impact. Roots, on the other hand, will. So don't cut them, let them be, but you really don't need to care for them in a specific way. If you don't have time or if you don't like to wet them a little bit or mist them from time to time, don't. It's absolutely fine. When you water your orchid, you can water the aerial roots as well. Maybe if you have a bigger container, you can kind of tuck them in a little bit and soak them a little bit, 10 minutes or so, that is absolutely fine, but you don't really have to go out of your way to do anything specific to the roots. You don't need to fertilize these roots either. If you fertilize the roots in the pot, the orchid will have enough nutrients to grow these roots as well. So generally speaking, aerial roots don't need you to care for them. If you want to go the extra mile to do something special for them, you can, but it's not needed. They will grow just fine. And also, if you don't have aerial roots, don't worry, you don't necessarily need to have them. Sometimes it takes a while for your orchid to produce aerial roots, and that is absolutely fine. And I think that is about it. Things are getting kind of noisy. That's my cue to stop filming. So I hope you've enjoyed today's subject. I hope you now know a little bit more about your orchid's roots. And if you're interested in other tutorials specific for beginners, check the links in the description. I posted quite a few easy tutorials for you. So thank you for watching. Thank you RepotMe for sponsoring yet another Orchid Care for Beginners episode. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more orchid videos. And with that said, I'll see you all next time. Bye!